hello, and welcome back to the Social Media Magic Podcast. My name is Brittany. I am a travel blogger by night, social media person by day. So I'm really glad that you're here and listening and watching today. And I'm excited because I have my friend and guest Nina here today. She's also someone who has her foot in two worlds, so to speak. And it's so cool to seeing how they collide, especially with everything that's going on lately. So welcome to the show, Nina.
Hey, Brittany, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, happy to have you here. Nina is an SEO expert. She runs She Knows SEO. She also has several travel sites and also some sites I'm not even sure what they are, honestly. Like she probably has some other like hidden niche sites. For anyone who's new to this world, or maybe this happens to be the first video you see of mine or the first episode that you listen to, niche sites are really just sites about a specific topic, solving a specific problem for a specific person. You are probably a niche site owner if you're a seller and you don't even realize that. So if you're an SE seller, if you're a TPT seller, you have been doing that, maybe not even realizing it, whether or not you have your site set up. You've been creating products to solve a specific problem for a specific person for a while. You may or may not have your site set up, but you really do have a brand. And I'm hoping to really help you see today and this whole podcast how you can take something that you're selling and really expand that, because you have so many possibilities as far as making money, as far as helping people. And I really do truly believe that the more people we help and the better we help them, the more money we make. I think those two things are intrinsically linked. So again, welcome to the show, Nina. If you just want to give a little intro, who are you and what is everything you have going on right now?
For sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Nina Clapperton. I'm Canadian, so my stories and abouts are quite deep, and you'll notice it pretty quickly because I also apologize a lot. I got my start actually in the legal field and then realized I hated it with a passion. So I wanted to find something else to do. And that's where I ended up on a travel blog because I had basically been traveling the world to avoid law school and was trying to find other things to do. I started a blog and I didn't know you could monetize it. And then eventually I heard the magic word SEO, which stands for search engine optimization. It's essentially just translating yourself for Google. Like think of like there being different dialects of English. I lived in New Zealand for a while. There are words they say there that we don't say here. Same idea with SEO. We're just translating ourselves to like fit into what Google understands. I learned how to do that with my travel blog, and within 18 months, I grew it to $30,000 a month passively. I have since gone on to run, I think I run about 6 now. I actually lose track often, to be honest, because I also love to run like experimental sites. I help my friends set some up as well. Ultimately, blogging is my bread and butter. So I create mainly travel blogs at this point, and then She Knows SEO, where I teach people how to do similar things with their own business, because SEO is a secret superpower that I really, really love, and it's very passive. And as someone with chronic illnesses, I really appreciate anything that gives me a day off when I need it.
I think many people in this community can relate to that, especially listening to or watching this show for different reasons, right? Sometimes it's because they want to travel more. Like that's something, of course, that relates to me. But we also have people here who have families and people here who have different responsibilities, right? Or maybe they still have a full-time job or they're still in the classroom. Many of my audience here for this show are teachers, and not all of them want to quit. Although, of course, that was part of my story. Not everybody here does. Some of them actually really do love their jobs and their careers with a passion, and they see this as an extension of that. And if they can make double their salary, then like, hey, why not? So I'm really glad that you're here again. Thank you so much for being here. I am just so thankful for them to hear your message about SEO. I just want to share this for this extra insight as to the why, right? Why do I bring each guest on? It's really intentional. I met Nina at the Travel Blogging Summit in 2022 in Denver, Colorado. And first of all, I was floored by how much she gets done. I'm still floored by how much she gets done. It's amazing. I feel like I'm a pretty high producer, but then I look at Nina and I'm like, oh my gosh, it pushes me, honestly. So I want you to know that like you really do push me to put more out there to help people. I'm always thinking that how I feel like you do is what do people need and what can I make that's going to help someone today? I feel like that question has just been so helpful and encouraging to me, especially as seeing what all Google is doing. There are days, even though I make money, I'm like, oh, is it over for me? Like it's been a good run. I think many of us think that. We have a tendency to think that, but I really do think that there are ways for us to make money that don't have to sacrifice our lifestyle or the things and the people and the pets in our life that we really want to prioritize. I would love to know, how do you get so much done in a day? I have a feeling I know what your answer is going to be, but I'm just curious. And is there any kind of duplicable tool or system that maybe someone could take away from this conversation to get more done in a day?
Yeah, I mean, my main superpower is undiagnosed ADHD for a very long time, where I need a lot of different things and I can produce things really quickly. But I also learned really early on that like if I don't do something immediately, I will not do it. I usually have purple hair. It's been 8 months since I got it dyed because like I keep telling myself I'll book a hair appointment and then I just don't. That's very much my approach to business as well. well. I know I need to get it done. So the second I have the thought, I put it into action. And I think that's really important. Then I also think done is better than good. That's something that a prof of mine at university told me. I know the saying is done is better than perfect, but let's be real, like perfect is non-existent. Good is existent. That exists somewhere. I have perfectionism too. I fear failure. Just do it scared. Like do the thing. You'll figure it out as you go. You'll adjust it as you go. That's a big thing for me. Then for the way that I work, I use a batch system that's worked really well for me. And it kind of works with the ADHD essentially. I lean wholeheartedly into one section of my brain until I exhaust that section. If my brain is in like writing mode, then I'm writing. Today, Mondays are my call day. I'm just doing calls all day. I'm getting them done and then I'm done with calls for the week. That's something that helps me because I know, okay, this is the one day that I'm going to be sitting in front of a computer doing this all day. And then I'm going to have a day that's like a writing day. I have a day that's social media, however you want to schedule it. With that as well, I listen to my body and I listen to like what it's telling me. And if I have a day where it's really like, hey, today is not it, like you are not going to get stuff done, have a rest day. And that's something I'm still working on. It is hard for sure to give yourself that rest, but you're going to be more productive when you have rest days. So even now I work about 20 hours a week and that works really well for me. It means that I can use 20 hours that I would have been working to be a bit more human or to rest because I need more rest than most people. And that has allowed me to be more productive. So lean into what works for your brain. Batch work will not work for everyone. I know a lot of other people who need to finish like the entirety of a task in a moment. I would happily outline 20 blog posts and not start writing any for a week. And then the next week, I'll write them. Same with batching YouTube videos. I will record all my YouTube videos for 2 months in a 1 day, 2 day period. Then I'll edit them 1 day and then they're done. That works really well. Probably the biggest secret is just do fun stuff. If you like stuff, it's a lot easier. There's like an 80-20 rule with work that you should enjoy 80% of what you do. There's always a 20%. And let's be real, taxes always falls in there and accounting always falls in that you're not going to love. 80% you should enjoy. And so if you're hating every aspect of this, something's off and you need to fix it. And like you said, helping people, like that just gives me so much energy. So I'm able to put it towards really active pursuits.
I love that. I wrote some notes down that I just want to like highlight. Having a schedule system that works for you. Anytime somebody tells me this is the only way to do anything, I'm always immediately skeptical, right? And that's not true because I just know myself and I know people enough that there's no one system that works for everybody. Best practices for a certain system or tool, yes, absolutely. But I love that you've said what works for you and for your body. I often say on this show, you have to also know the season you're in and what's for you and what's for you in the future. I cannot harp on that enough. There are just some things that I love for other people and I will just never do. And there are some things that I would love to do maybe in the future, but not right now because of the season of life I'm in and what I'm enjoying. So I think that you're really wise for saying that and for honoring that. And I think the fact that you work 20 hours a week is pretty amazing, that you have as many sites as you do and that you know batching works. I know that you travel, right, for extended periods of time. And I think that knowing that I'm going to be on the road from X day to X day, and it's just not going to be feasible for me to take calls. And also I don't want to take as many calls. I think it's smart that you do that, knowing that, okay, I'm going to make this decision. It's maybe going to result in less or more of something over here, but I'm okay with that. I would rather have that than the alternative. I think where many of us fall into a trap is that we constantly listen to what other people have. And so we think, I really like what she has over here as a result, and therefore I have to do X, Y, Z. I actually like being on calls like all day. It's fun to me. Like, I think it's really, really fun. If I could do more of that, I probably would. I've even told my husband, I'm like, should I just be a YouTuber? You have to look at the data. You have to look at how you feel, and also what you're having fun with, and also giving yourself permission to change. That really gives me a lot of freedom. I'm pretty sure I have undiagnosed ADHD as well. And one thing that really helps is knowing that if I get bored with one project or something I'm doing, I have this other thing over here. My productivity hack is if I get bored with this, I'm going to go work on this other thing and procrastinate. That's what I think I'm doing over here. So yeah, I totally know what you mean there. Let's talk about social media. I feel like I can't have you on here and not talk about what you do with Facebook groups, because I love groups, even though they're not as sexy as TikTok, they're not as sexy as Instagram. I love them. The other day when you were saying something like, to me, it's not about how many people are in my Facebook group. It's about how much money I make. Obviously, we have to be practical business owners, and also how people feel in there and making sure that they feel welcome, and how you can interact with people in there because you can do that like asynchronously. Tell us a little bit about your groups and how you run them, because I think you have a unique strategy and how you've made that work for your lifestyle. Because I think people will be interested to hear that.
Yeah, I started with Facebook groups, to be honest. When I was a law clerk on will signing calls because it was during COVID. I would go in Facebook groups and like Hermione Granger it, be a know-it-all and answer questions. And I realized I love helping people. So I started an SEO for travel bloggers Facebook group because there wasn't one. And the questions that I often saw in the generic groups were very like Pinterest focused. I get really mad when people give bad advice and when you can tell that they're giving misleading advice that they themselves don't believe in. And unfortunately, you see a lot of that. It's that kind of mentality of there's not enough room for everyone. And I think that's incorrect. I mean, there's billions of people in this world. There's plenty of room for all of us online. But with that, I started my group and then I really didn't care about the numbers. In fact, it actually started as a Canadian travel bloggers group that was just for Canadian travel bloggers, which is a very small niche. But it was so important to me to offer value and help people. And it's funny you were talking about like people trying to replicate someone's strategy because I had a number of friends try to replicate my strategy for their course sales and things like that. They were like, how do you do this? And I'm like, it lights me up. This is something that matters to me. So I'm able to put in the work. For a while there, I was spending 10 to 20 hours a week in the Facebook group. Too much time, mostly just refreshing it because I was like trying to avoid other things, to be fair. Procrastination was real for a while, but a really big part of it was I was excited to help people. The way that I do it is I try and post once a day minimum. You will notice I post much more than that. I was trying to limit it to once every other day for a while there, and then that didn't work because I just enjoy it too much. I basically let people in. They have to be on my email list. So I kind of treat it like a student only group, but they can be students of my free offer. But I'm giving a ton of value. They need to like pay me back a little bit in the sense that like they need to be on my email list. Now I was doing that manually until like a day ago. Actually, I was talking to Brittany about this. I bought a tool to start testing using that instead so that I'm not having to wait and do it. Then in the group itself, I single-handedly moderate. I am very much a control freak, to be entirely honest. And so I'd rather just take control of it. The group self-moderates really well. Anytime someone posts like a promotional link or an affiliate link, it gets flagged immediately by somebody else, which I really appreciate. So I haven't needed to bring anyone else on. And then my rule of thumb is social media is social. You're not going to have a successful Facebook group if you never post in it. I know so many travel blog groups that have like 15,000 people in them. And the main person running it maybe posts once a week, but it's an automation and then they never actually like respond to anybody. The biggest thing to me is I respond to every post in the group. It might take me 3 days. That's my new boundary. I've started like implementing boundaries, but I will get to every single post. Even if I don't have an answer, I will try and point them in the direction of someone else. And that's been really huge. Now, the ways that I monetize it, there's a few different ways. It depends on the group. My SEO one, I don't sell sponsored posts in, but I have one that's in the pet niche that I do sell sponsored posts in. When it was at 2,000 members, I was selling it for $750 a pop and they were selling really well. So I had to up it and then the group grew and then I paused it because I was like, I need to recalculate this. I think it's at like 5,000 members now. I try to keep mine really small too. I kick people out fairly regularly. I do things like everyone tags that like drive people away. I'm really okay with that. Even my email list, I scrub my list like once a month. If they haven't even clicked on something, not even bought, if they haven't clicked on something, they're out, they're gone. Things like that are important to me to maintain an active community because I would rather have 100 people that are really excited to be there than 10,000 people who are like mid, who just don't really care. So that's my big thing. With my groups, one big secret with groups is the way the algorithm works on Facebook is it's all engagement based. So you want people to engage. Instagram stories and things like that, where you get people to click on that little heart emoji and react to it, where you get people to like click on a poll. It's exactly the same in a Facebook group. So I have a vague formula for the week of like what I do on certain days. I will say I love to break the rules. So the formula goes out the window very regularly, but at least once a week I have a poll. And polls are big because people can click it and immediately like they've interacted. They don't need to write something. And like, yes, asking questions is good, but then they have to type something. In my head, my person is like walking their dog. They have one hand for their phone, or they're at Starbucks and like their kid is hanging off their arm. They're trying to yell at their husband to like stop parallel parking and hitting cars or something. They're like trying to get things done. They don't have the time to give me 100% of their attention. I need to make it as easy as possible for them. So a big thing with my Facebook group is make it easy. Then the next thing is listen to them. Anytime someone posts in the group, I put their question in a spreadsheet. And I do this manually because I like spreadsheets and it's a copy and paste thing. It's pretty simple. Then if the same question gets asked at least 3 times, I write a blog post about it. If the same question gets asked more than 5 times, especially if it's more than 10 times, it needs to have a course. And that's basically how I put it all together. Or it needs to be part of a course. Maybe it's not its own thing. Those are very easy ways to listen to your audience and know what they need. So that's a really big thing to me, a great way to really connect with them. My big Google algorithm leak article, I really wrote for my Facebook Facebook group. I didn't really care about writing it for Google. I've done so many case studies that were for my Facebook group or based on questions that they asked and would not work for SEO, but they would work for those people. And because SEO is ultimately about people, it worked there too.
I love it. I think we have such a similar philosophy there. I know I muted myself so that I don't have any weird sound things, but I was like, yup, nodding my head along because you're right. Social media is social. And if you have to think about it from the viewer's like point of view, right? Sometimes I get overwhelmed by things and I just have to go dark for my own sanity. So I understand people who watch and listen who are like, I can't be on 24 hours a day. I totally understand. I do get that. But you also have to put yourself in your person's shoes. Imagine this teacher who's just really struggling. They're super overwhelmed. Maybe they're even thinking about quitting their job. And then they come across your reel, your post, your whatever, right? Your group. And it seems like it could be the answer to their problem. And then they finally get the courage to comment. It can be really scary for people to put themselves out there, right? That can be very vulnerable to ask a question, to comment something, especially in a public place like a page or a profile. This is why I'm a huge fan of Facebook groups, because there's already that inherent safety of being in a place where people understand what's going on. They're there to support them. So it's really vulnerable to put yourself out there to ask a question, to maybe look stupid, right? I know, and we know it's not bad to ask a question, but that's what they're thinking, right? Like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to look so dumb for not knowing this. And then they finally do, and then nobody responds. Oh, what a crushing feeling. I've had that too, right? Like you comment on some creator, you really admire their work, and then you're like, oh, they never responded to me. Me in my logical brain, I know it's like they probably just didn't see it. Like this happens to me too. Sometimes my notifications are weird. I don't get something until days later. And then I go like refresh my DMs and I'm like, oh no, I missed one. Worst feeling, right? Like as the creator, I totally empathize. Our person reading that doesn't get to see all that. They only see what they see. And you're totally right. They're busy. They're distracted. So they're seeing a fraction of a percent of what we actually see and do online. So you have to interact. And I'll often even say like, thank you so much for commenting. Or sometimes I'll even go above and beyond that. I don't know if you knew this, but with Facebook Messenger and Instagram Messenger, you can send voice notes and video notes. And it is so jarring in a way, such a pattern interrupt. You don't expect for someone to do that, but they're just like, whoa, even if it's not something they need to know right now, it's just like, hey, Amy, oh my gosh, thank you so much for commenting. I just want to let you know that I appreciate every single person following me and that I know that you didn't have to. You don't have to do that for every single person, but if you're in the beginning stages, you have the gift of being a beginner and really connecting with people in a deep and intimate way. That is how you grow a Facebook group or any other account, is one person at a time. And if you're willing to do the things that other people aren't willing to do, you're going to have the results other people aren't going to have. That sounds like such a cliche thing, but it's just so true. You will get to a point where that gets harder to do. And that's when you start thinking about scaling. But I think people think about those things way too early. Most people are actually beginners, and myself too. I'm thinking about how can I go back to the things that were working in 2018? Why did I stop going live every week? That was working. Why did I stop doing that? Did I think that I got too big to do that? I'm not too big to talk to people, right? Of course. I love people. I love interacting. That's why I love social media. So I'm thinking through these things too. And I hope that you're listening and that you're really thinking about that. Nina mentioned a student-only group, but she treats it like that. That is a great strategy by Elizabeth Goddard, who we are both also fans of. And if you go into my episode description, you'll actually see there's an affiliate link for her course, because when I find a course and I'm like, I could have made that, but you know what? This person did a good job. I'm just going to be their affiliate. I'm just going to like shout out their stuff.
I never even took that course of hers. She came out with it after I already had one. And I was like, oh, I've been doing that. Okay, cool.
So Nina with ManyChat, the way that I found out about it was that was my whole strategy before I knew I could automate this. That was exactly what I figured out how to do, right? Was I would have a compelling hook, whatever post for my clients, right? Because they're selling digital products. It's like digital e-commerce. I do the whole thing. I would have like comment bear if you want this little teddy bear activity, you know, bear in the comments. I would go through individually because I'm acting as the person, right? Hey, Amy, Valerie here, or Valerie's VA here, depending on what the client wants. Just letting you know, here is your product link. Let me know if you have any questions. And then I would go through and comment and say, hey, just sent this to you. Let me know if you have any questions or if you can't find it. And I would do that manually. Took me hours. And then someone was like, oh, there's an app for that does that. And I was like, you're kidding. This person, God bless this person, I can't even remember who told me. She doesn't even know. She saved me like 8 hours a day, literally, with my clients, because I was doing client work from 7 a.m. to midnight every single day. I know it's not sustainable. Please don't do that if you hear me. But I was doing that because I was like, this is what it takes. This is what's working right now. And it's still working. Anytime you hear something that's working, it's not necessarily going to be working forever, right? Not every single technique works forever. So jump on it. ManyChat automates that process for you. That's why I keep saying how amazing it is. There's also another one I've been playing with called Link DM if you are on Instagram, anyone listening. Link DM is one that is similar and it has a free plan that's a little more flexible, but it's new to me, so I'm still playing with it. And if you have a Facebook group, you can use Instagram to grow your Facebook group. So that's another thing I'm a huge fan of and I've been playing with a lot lately. You said you're a control freak. I hear that from pretty much all of my ideal clients, which is funny because then I end up taking over their stuff. But I tell them like, hey, I totally get it. Right? You have built this beautiful thing. You have a vision for it. You have these products and you don't have to hire out if you don't want to. You can use tools and you can use automations and AI if you want. Nina could talk about AI. She's got a lot of skills. On Instagram, there's the saved replies feature in your DMs. So anyone listening, that's a great way to save time. I also use the Notes app on my phone. So you could do that for Instagram. On Facebook, I'm a huge fan of Notion and having those pre-saved replies. Amazing. I love your concept of the 3 makes a blog post. I think that actually that was the reason that your blog post, your article, well, also you're a very good marketer. You have the best subject lines. I'm like, ah, dang it, Nina, you got me again. I got to go look and see what you said in this email. Even if it's not relevant to me, I'm like, oh, it's just so good. But I love your idea of like 3 times it's a blog post, 3 plus it's a course. I never really thought of it like that. When we were chatting the other day, if she's saying like this could be a mini course, then I've got like 60 actually, because I have so many little things I've just learned a technique. And I'm like, but could this be a course? Because it would only take the person like an hour to learn it. And then like, is that a course? I don't know.
If it solves a pain point, yes. And if it's not immediately intuitive, like people didn't know key search had a content optimizer. I know this is probably like a bit advanced for people who don't know what SEO is, but key search is a fun tool. I'm sure Brittany will have an affiliate link for you, but also it has this content optimizer that like suggests words to include. And other people were paying like $50 for other things. And I was like, if you just, it's like in the menu bar, how did you not just click and find it? But people don't do the same things we do. If it's something that people are interested in, that's the great thing about Facebook groups is like run a poll. What do people want? Do you know how to do this? Would this help you? And I'm such a huge fan of like $7, $9, $17 offers for little things that fix a problem that are so helpful. And of course, bigger ticket offers too. But I think it's very interesting. We were talking about this earlier. Like my audience are very afraid of digital products because they're like, oh, like what do I have to offer? I'm like, everything, so many things. I recently ran the digital product challenge in my primary course and the amazing stuff that came out of it where they were like, oh, I have to write a travel ebook. And I'm like, you don't, first of all, but also we could write a really cool one. We have a couples date night ideas with a tapas cookbook. We have like this really cool audio tour guide. There's really interesting things. There was a Oahu sustainability guide from a local about how to visit there and not like offend the indigenous culture, but also be able to donate half the proceeds. There were so many amazing things where I'm like, look at all the cool stuff you guys know and can do that other people didn't know existed.
I think that is something that's really good for my community here too. The one thing that ties everything I do together is teachers. Almost everybody that comes to me has either been a teacher or they're a teacher now. And teachers are so incredible. We are so multi-talented. We know so much about so many different things. The liberal arts masters, right? Like I know a little bit about math. I know a lot about history. I know a lot about this. I know other languages. We have all these skills that we don't really use or value because these things come so easy to us. And you have this curse of knowledge that you get to a point where you don't even realize what you know until you're talking to a beginner. And that can actually sometimes hurt you in your content. Like you don't realize you're talking over your people on accident. You never do it intentionally, right? Nina's very aware of this. Like she just mentioned, key search is something a little more advanced, right? If you're doing SEO research for your blog posts or even for your titles, which might be something to look into if you haven't looked into key search yet. If you're starting to make titles for your website and you're starting to sell on your website, because some of you are at that point, then you might want to look into that. It just blows my mind that you have travel bloggers who don't do products, because I'm just like, wow, I feel like it's actually faster to make money that way, especially if you go on a marketplace like Etsy. There's not a lot of travel stuff there. Like that's an opportunity. I feel like that's a blue ocean if you want to use that phrase. Yeah. And I feel like with teachers, there's still a lot of opportunity for us too, because you don't have to make what everybody else has already made. And in fact, you shouldn't, right? There has to be some kind of new spin, something creative. We are like all obsessed with printables, but does it have to be a printable? Like, could it be something else? What is something else that would be valuable to a teacher? I think you can get so creative. I think creativity is something that it's funny. We all have. That's why we're drawn to these kinds of industries, but then we immediately want someone to just tell us what to do, right? Like I want someone else to come be the boss of me and keep me on task. And I want someone else to tell me what works so I don't have to experiment and try. Like, isn't that so funny that we do that?
That's the biggest thing that I noticed. Like I'm doing a week of coaching right now. The things everyone talks to me about, I'm like, you know the answer. Like you came into this with the answer. You just want me to give you permission to do it. And I totally get it because I've been there too. We all have been there. Like running a business is scary and everything you do is kind of breaking new ground to some degree. So you have to be, yeah, kind of brave with it. And I totally get as well, like we're conditioned our whole life to do things that people tell us to do. Do the next thing, do the next thing, obey, 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 obey. And then suddenly you're able to do whatever you want. It's kind of overwhelming to some degree. But the great thing is, I think with this industry as well, is you get to make mistakes. Like, don't be afraid of the mistakes. Don't be afraid of failure or mucking things up or whatever. I had a very failed podcast. It was so bad. It was such a bad podcast that I did for my dissertation. It was called Tripping Up, and it was about travel trip ups and like things that went wrong when you were traveling. And the stories were amazing, fun to talk about. In the moment, all of us were like, this is the end of my world, that this thing went wrong. Is it the end of your world, or is this an amazing story to tell later? And it's like, turned out, amazing story. Most of them went on to write books about it. I think it's such a cool thing that we get to do. And it's why I also love Facebook groups. You start living with your audience there rather than like, yeah, like living over them or something. And you're amongst them. So you get to ask, what are you struggling with? What are you having trouble with right now? What are your wins? So you can also see where people are celebrating. Those are really great spots to have the highs and the lows. Like be willing to emote with your people. They'll share in the highs and lows with you then. I had some of my sites get hit by the Google algorithm nonsense and like shared that and screenshotted it. And so many people are like hiding what happened to their sites. If you know what to do, you can find it. Like you can see that something happened. And same with when things are good. I love talking about things because I want everyone else to be happy. And I think it's lovely to share in that with other people. We have a really unique opportunity to both teach people, but also to be friends with all these people, which is really cool. I don't know other industries where you get to befriend your clients and your students the same way. Usually it seems like you're supposed to hate your customers, which I'm like, that doesn't sound that nice. I don't know. Every sitcom about cafe owners and stuff, they all hate all their clientele. And I'm like, I really like my people. So it seems like I'm in a nicer spot.
I feel so privileged. I just told someone the other day, I'm like, I can't believe this is my job. I literally think of something and I'm like, oh, this would really help this person. And then I get to create it or I get to make a piece of content about it and help somebody and I get paid to do that. Do you realize what an opportunity we have? This was not around 20 years ago. This did not exist. We did not have the kind of social infrastructure where you could go and talk directly to your customers. Not even just money, but on a human level that you can connect with people anywhere in the world at any time of day. What a beautiful thing. As a traveler, being able to talk to people that I met almost 10 years ago on this random trip in Norway. We're still friends with these two fishermen who are like, want to come on our boat? My sister were like, okay, probably not the smartest decision. Really good story though. But it was a really good time and we ended up being friends and they'll like randomly call us and we'll have a little group chat. How fun is that? The fact that we have the technology to be able to do that and to be friends like all these years later, I think that's such a beautiful thing. Don't diminish that, right? You don't have to do it like everybody else, but social media is a tool and I really think everybody could be using it. It doesn't have to look the same for everybody. And I don't think everybody is necessarily going to want to be an influencer in the sense of affiliate marketing. And affiliate marketing, that can look a million ways too. I think of like fashion influencers. My sister's a fashion influencer. She has 70,000 influencers or 70,000 followers, I think now. And she is an Orange County plus size fashion influencer. She is like on point niche. And she makes all of her money from brand deals. Like companies reach out to her. And she also makes money from affiliate marketing. And I think it's a beautiful thing, but not everybody can do that. And my podcast right here is really not for that. If you're listening and watching, I guess it's because you've seen that and you're like, oh, I can't do that or I don't want to do that. But I feel like I have something to say and people who need to hear it and I have things that can help, then this is for you, right? And I think for digital products, you kind of have like a leg up on many people because when I talk to my travel blogger friends, just exactly what you said, they're like, but what could I make? You can make anything you want. Like we're all experts. We have all this experience that other people don't have. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir right now, but I hope that you hear that. That's not just travel specific. That's you too, right? You have so many ideas, you watching, listening, you have so many ideas. And like the fact that you're a teacher just shows you can do anything, that you can handle and manage multiple personalities, that you can work with people, that you're patient, that you're kind, and you already know how education works. You know how to put together a lesson plan. You know how to outline a course. I feel like those are things that other people have to learn. Anyway, so that was a little bit ranty, but I hope that you guys hear my heart there. Nina, let's talk about AI really quickly. What's your philosophy on content creation with AI? How do you personally use it? Do you use it to create your posts outright, copy paste? Do you use it to generate ideas? How do you use it?
I think of it as like the baby intern that you hired on their first day at the job and they are new to this. Anyone who treats it like it is a C-suite executive is using it the wrong way. And anything that you wouldn't entrust to an intern should not be used with AI. But equally, like it's really cool because because it thinks differently than we do. I've coded plugins with it. I have written blog posts with it. I've written ebooks. I have done video scripts. I've done so much cool stuff with it. Ultimately, you legally don't own the output of it if you don't edit it. You also don't own the output of it if you just tell it, write a blog post about Rome, and then you give it no other information. Like at that point, it is a non-human entity that generated that entire content. According to current legal definitions, you would not own it. And that's a huge issue if you want to copyright your content, if this is a part of your business, which it should be. If you're just doing this for fun with your friends, then who cares? Hopefully this is a part of a business. Otherwise, I think AI, like it really democratizes entrepreneurship. It gives us the ability to basically like compete with the people who can hire 1,000 writers, the big companies that are able to do so much. And yes, now they are using it too, a lot of times not very ethically, and then they're getting in trouble for it. I might brainstorm with it, but ultimately I do my own research. I live my life essentially, and then have that experience that I can provide. It'll help me structure things like an outline. I love writing an outline, so I'm happy to do that by myself. And then I use it to help get over blank page syndrome, to say something that I've already said like 10 times. For example, I have a bunch of posts on like how to internal link. And at a certain point, it started to sound all the same to me. So I was like, okay, can you define internal linking for me in a different way? Here are the 3 ways I've done it. Use my tone, but make it unique. I'm tired at this point. And then it could do that. It is really getting like a second opinion on that stuff. Now, I am not a fan of one-click AI writers, because the issue is that like the same effort you put in, everyone else is putting in. And I really think you reap the rewards for what you sow. I'm not saying you have to like be the hardest worker in the world. Hard work does not, unfortunately, mean that you're intrinsically deserving of anything different than anyone else. But equally, what value are you adding to it? I am much more of a fan of like ChatGPT and things like that, where you work with it. You don't have it working for you. It's much more of a conversation and a dialogue around those different areas, basically. And so, yeah, I use it for all sorts of stuff. I think it's really fun to push the boundaries of what it can do and test it. And like anything that you might think it can do, it can probably do at least most of it. And then it can help you get further in the process for things. It can read your post for you, like we were talking about earlier, where you might use like something too advanced. Teach it who your target audience is and then say, would they understand this? Is this at a language level for them? Is this using terms that they would know? How could I change this to help them understand this better? And that's a huge thing, because it will act as that person for you. You can even train it on your style guide so it can edit things and proofread it for you. I hate proofreading. I used to be a proofreader. Things that a lot of us couldn't afford to pay someone else to do, especially at the beginning, where you're exhausted, you've worked a full day, you also have your kids, and you're trying to do this. So spell checking a blog post is the last thing you want to do. Have it do it. Super simple. And you can even use custom GPTs to like train it to almost be like an intern at the end of their summer internship. So like you've taught them the basics, and now you trust them more, you can give them more, you can give them an assignment and not explain it every time. I find that really valuable as well. Training your own custom little assistant.
Having the memory, I feel like turned on for ChatGPT is just like a huge hack, right? You can make your own little internal database that memorizes your brand, your voice, and your tone, because especially if you have multiple, and I'm not saying you all should have multiple. In fact, your life is going to be way easier if you only
Don't
have
do what I do.
one website, one TPT store, whatever. But if like, say you did, or say you're a service provider, right? And you had, like, just say like you have, you're freelancing. So I have some people who are freelancing, teachers who are freelancing here. If you had that, then you could have it memorize like brand 1, brand 2, right? Because they sound different. I talk to teachers slightly different tone about travel than I do here. I'm a little more professional here. And part of that is just because of the content itself, nature of the content. Secondly, it's also just so I stay organized. Otherwise, I will go off the rails and every episode will be 3 hours long. I just can't, right? But yeah, so I have like notes and things here. So I think like it's important to know like what is your brand voice? And I've also used ChatGPT to figure out how would I describe those things, right? And see how it describes it. Like, how would you describe the brand voice, style, and tone of this specific text? And I input some blog posts there. Oh, I would say this is positive, encouraging, right? And that's going to be very different than maybe enthusiastic, sassy, sarcastic, right? So it depends on like the brand that you're doing. But I think having the memory feature turned on, which is on the paid ChatGPT 4, is worth considering. And I think it's good to know for when you're creating products too, because she was talking about, was talking about AI or copyright, intellectual property earlier, making sure that you own and know what you own. Because I know that anyone who's been on TPT the last year has seen many AI products added, but I don't trip on that, because guess what? People are going to find my stuff and it's going to be better. And my thing is always just like, you know what? Just be better. That's like, if I see somebody making things I make, I'm like, all right, time to innovate. There's too much of this, right? This became too easy. It's time to do something else. And I think that's a hard lesson to hear. It's hard to be an online business owner and not be okay with change. Like, I think you just have to embrace it and adapt. Otherwise, you're just going to, be so sad thinking about like, it's unnecessary suffering, added suffering, right? Like, oh, I wish things were like this. I wish things were easier. Things are always going to change. And I also agree with you in energy in, energy out, right? Like building building those relationships with people. I know it takes time, and I know it is a little harder because we all want passive income. Who doesn't want passive income? Who doesn't want for money to just like fall to the sky without any work? But that's not how it works. Passive income, true passive income, is really where you did the work in advance, right? And what did you say?
I treat it as a dividend, which my accountant gets mad at because it's not a true dividend. And he's like, Nina, it's not what it is. But it is like you put the hard work in up front and then you get paid dividends for a while after, but it doesn't last forever either. And I think that that's a big thing, especially now with like the way SEO works, is that it used to be that, yeah, you publish something once, you leave it for 10 years and it just prints money, which was amazing. It's not the case anymore. And that's partially because there's so many of us doing it now, but it's still much more passive than like going into an office every day. So for sure, it's still, yeah, I don't know, pays dividends for a few years and you got to change it. That's okay.
I love that. I love the idea of dividend. I also see it as like delayed, right? Like if you can just get your mind on board with a delayed outcome, which is really hard because we have Uber Eats, social media is instant, right? And you get that instant dopamine of like people responding to your stuff. And I get it because I'm all up in it every day. But I think the better you can do at getting your mind on board with this is delayed gratification, things take time, and also you have to test everything. I think that's something as a teacher that's really hard because we're such rule followers and we love having procedures and systems, and I totally get that. But if you can get your brain on board with, everything is really just a test and experiment, I think you're going to do better. And with SEO, I think this will be a good to wrap up and really focus on SEO for the last few minutes. SEO and social media algorithms, one thing they both have in common is that they have all these like points and systems to try to figure out how to get your content in front of the right person, right? That's really what they're there for. It's like to help you, the reader. So if you think of it like that, if you're writing for people, your stuff will always end up in front of them, right? Because people will share it, people will share it on social media, people will send it in Messenger, which is a huge queue, by the way. If you have people sharing your content, whether it's an Instagram reel, whether it's a TikTok, whether it's a text post, if they're sharing it in messages and WhatsApp chat, that is a huge queue. That is great content. So shares are gold. They're like super, super likes. So just putting that out there too, to kind of think about, can I make content that's shareable, where it's not necessarily about you, the person creating it, but it's about the person who's really reading it? That is the kind of content that gets shared the most. And that can be tricky, especially if you have somewhat of a personal brand. So there's like a little bit of a balance to walk there. But for you, if you have a digital commerce brand, you don't have to show your face at all. You can just share a resource and help them get a quick win from the post itself. So even if they don't go buy the thing, what can they get from that piece of content, that blog post or anything? For SEO, I know that SEO is a hard time right now. And it's hard to even say like what works. My instinct is, well, keep writing for the people in your community. That's how I've made money. But I would love to hear, do you have any other like technical or practical tips? Because I know you know so much about SEO. Obviously, She Knows SEO. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, there's a lot that still works that I think people have discounted because they were doing too much of it. So essentially, SEO comes down to keywords, and it's basically market research of like, what are people searching and how are they phrasing that search? So when I mentioned like at the beginning of this episode about translating yourself for Google, a lot of that is translating the type of words that you're using. So we were talking earlier about key search, and I then kind of explained what that meant and what this is and what a content optimizer is. I did that really quickly. You're probably not going to go search it right now, but if you were like later on, like, okay, what is SEO? How do I do SEO? You're probably not going to start typing in key search content optimizer because that would be a step too far in like the kind of intermediate scale for y'all. So you're going to start sooner. And so what we need to do as content creators is know what are our audience searching and like what are the specific ways they are searching, and then write content around that. Now you are writing for your user, and this is something that I see people mistake a lot, where that people say like, oh, don't write for Google anymore, and I'll talk about some of like the little things that you need to do for that in a second. But you kind of are writing for Google. You're writing for your user. You're not writing for you. So you're not writing a diary entry. You're not writing because it feels fun. You're not writing because you don't want to cook dinner. Like you're writing something that is helpful to somebody, and that needs to slot into like your overall niche and your overall mission. Who are you helping? What are you helping them with? And then how is this one of the bricks in the house that you're building to help them with this problem? So if a single post has no place in that, don't write it, period. As for how you get it seen, you do need to do some other content marketing besides just like finding a keyword. Knowing a keyword exists is different than using a keyword. And the proper way to use it is number one, in the title. So you want to have it in your title, early on in your title. You probably want to mention it at least once inside of the blog post itself. Now, don't worry too much about it being exact. So if like the keyword is like Rome must do things, you're never going to say it that way. Like that's not how human beings speak, but that is how human beings search, because we search in kind of truncated, broken English because we're trying to rush through it. Don't worry, Google's very smart. It will put it together for you, and you saying, here are the must do things, or here are the things you must do in Rome. It'll figure that out. So don't worry too much about the exact match there. Then you're going to put it in the URL. So essentially the URL is like the address of every single blog post. Think of it like your overall overall domain is like the street, and then each number is a different house on the street. In this case, the number would be the keyword. Then you're also going to make sure, and this is probably most important, that you answer the question immediately. So if someone asks like, what are the best things to do in Rome? Don't make them read 2,000 words before they find out any of the things. And also don't be afraid to like give the milk away for free. Like give the answer immediately, give the best thing immediately. We're not doing one of those lists where it's like 10 to 1. We're doing 1 to 10. And number 1 is the most important thing. I mentioned earlier, like having an audience, it's busy. Get to the point. Get them their answer as quickly as possible. I am much more willing to trust someone and take time to read something if I immediately see this is for me, this answers my question. The next thing, do not write for everybody. This is one of my biggest pet peeves is when people are like, oh, there's something for everyone. No, there's not. There's definitely not, because everyone is different. Write for your specific. A friend of mine, Ruthie Everett, said this amazing thing. It's like really, I'm gonna try and like phrase it the way she did. But essentially she was like, people online are okay to eavesdrop. Like they are happy to eavesdrop on a conversation that isn't fully meant for them, but your ideal audience needs you to speak to them. So you actually want to like speak to your person. So like Brittany is speaking to teachers. I'm not a teacher, but I'm still hearing everything she's saying. And if I was listening to this podcast after, which I'm not going to because I can't listen to the sound of my own voice, but like, which I think most of us can relate to some extent, but like I would still get something from it because it's okay to eavesdrop. So exclude people. It's kind of good to exclude people, to be honest. Have your people. Then in the post itself, secondary keywords are a thing. So that's kind of like I said, like must do things Rome, things to do in Rome, Rome, special activities, whatever, like things like that. Extra terms people would use for the same idea. You're going to sprinkle them in throughout the post, just like a light sprinkling. Ultimately, focus on like what the user needs first, answer the question, and then think about these little things at the end. Now, a lot of people stress about like the length of it. They stressed about like, okay, it needs to have these content optimized words. They need to have all of these thousands of other things. No, they don't. It needs to answer the question. Everything else is secondary to that. And it should have something unique to say. Like we were talking about with digital products, there should be something you are adding to the conversation. If you can't add anything to the conversation, you should not be a part of that conversation. Just like Brittany and I were saying before with like Lizzie Goddard's course, like that course is amazing. Sure, we both use that strategy. We don't need to remake the course. We have nothing new to add to it. So like that is that course. It's going to stay that course. And so because of that, you would promote someone else's article then. In this case, you probably have something unique to say about it. There probably is something you can add. Even if like, okay, I went to Rome recently, the things I would say you should do are probably very different than the things that Brittany would say you should do, or that like my dog would say you should do. He would say, go eat out of every dumpster because that's his thing and he's gross. So like we're going to have very different opinions. Even another example I give is like things to do in Rome at night. For a 90-year-old versus someone with a toddler versus a backpacker that's 20, very different nightlife that they're going to go to. So keep that in mind. And then ultimately SEO comes down to getting people on your site. I think it goes a step further and it's about keeping people in your sphere. So just like Brittany, I'm all about community. So we want people to not only come read one article, we want them to keep reading because you've got that person like in the door. You have them like in your little business or whatever, in your shop. Okay, so they don't want to just like glance at one thing and leave. We want them to like window shop the whole store, find something they love and then buy that thing. And that could be a product, it could be an affiliate link, it could even just be them moving through your site, getting traffic. And then if you monetize with ads, that's going to make you more money there. You could even like sell individual sponsored posts because now you can say, oh, look, I get like 1,000 people to most of my blog posts. And it's even better for stuff like that when you can say, okay, fine, I have 2 blog posts that get 1,000 people. But if you have 40 blog posts that get 1,000 people, like then there's some consistency there that they can really appreciate. So the next thing is internal linking, which is just basically saying, hey, you like this post? I have another one. Maybe you should check that one out too, because it's also really good. And I think it would help you. So you're not going to say it that way. Please do not write that. Instead, you're just going to like add a hyperlink, which we're all familiar with, like the little blue link that like the text turns blue, you hover over it, turns out it's a link. That's what that is. And you're just going to link to something else on your website that says, hey, here's more information. Because realistically, one blog post cannot answer every question someone has about something. If it did, it would be a book, and I don't want to scroll through a book on my phone. So that's kind of the main thing. And then I would say with SEO as well, a big thing is always have a clear goal in mind. A lot of people write content for content's sake, and that was a big thing that happened with like the updates with Google recently, and even with the algorithm leak that we saw, there was actually a topical authority metric where they said like, we are determining how on topic you are. But I think that goes further as well. It's like, just because you always write about Rome, the gladiators in Rome, Roman wines, and then like a Colosseum tour, those are very different types of people and types of things. So how is that person moving through those different things? And they're probably not. They're probably leaving after that first thing, or they're going to the second thing being like, oh, history of wine. No, it's just a list of wines to buy. Oh, okay, the Colosseum history. No, it's just a tour. And then they're disappointed. We never want to leave someone on like a disappointed note. We want them to like keep being like, oh my God, this is like the best thing I've ever read, here to help me on everything I need. So you want to stay on topic, but that topic should have a goal. And just like a funnel that you would use with ManyChat or emails, we want to end somewhere. So I use the AIDA funnel, which is awareness, interest, desire, action. And so the awareness is usually like, what is Rome? And so we're probably not necessarily starting all the way up there, but I also think of it kind of as like things to do or when should I visit Rome? Then the interest is going to be like, okay, I'm actually starting to kind of plan this. So an itinerary, something like that. Desire is kind of where we stop. So that's usually if you're an affiliate, like best hotels in Rome with a pool. That's kind of where we end, because action is them actually purchasing it. And we don't run that card. But when you have an e-commerce product, you do. Then you can actually sell them that way. So when I do that internal linking I mentioned before, I kind of think of like a road trip that I'm sending them on through my website. So, okay, they came on to like en route, whatever. I don't know any US highways. Why did I start this way? They came on to like road 1. So now how do I get them all the way to like the end of this road trip? And it's through those like overpasses, I guess, connections to different blog posts. And so through that, all of my content is intentional and it has a goal. And for y'all, that goal is probably going to be selling your product. But the great thing is you can make money along the way with ads and affiliates. So therefore, you're creating a bunch of income streams. And that's something that like they always say about billionaires, like every billionaire has like 7 income streams. Every successful blogger has 7 income streams. They have so many different ways that their blog is producing money and income for them. And one of the main ways is going to be affiliates. I think ads are great. I don't think you should only rely on ads, because ultimately if you do, you're going to mess up user experience because you're going to go way too far with the ads. But then you also have the digital products. And so all of a sudden you immediately have 3 of those income streams for yourself with your business that do kind of make you a bit more algorithm proof.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that, especially because if you have, now not everybody drives traffic to products on their site. Like some have it on like a Shopify store, some have a WooCommerce shop set up on their site, or they use a plugin like Ecwid, or sometimes they'll just use it to drive traffic to Teachers Pay Teachers because they don't want to deal with the tax and the nexus and stuff. That's fine.
I would argue that that's action though, because you own, so the reason I would say you don't own the action otherwise is just because you're not making money off of it.
Right.
You're still making the income off it in the end. So
Yeah.
I would say in that case, yeah, the action is on another URL, but you own that URL to some extent. I know you don't own it. You own Etsy. Good job.
Yeah, good job. Seriously, you're killing it. You don't need this podcast. But yeah, so I think like, but it's still good for them to hear, because I don't know if many sellers, that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on, have even thought about, oh, I can make money from the website itself. What? So I hope that you put that little bug in their ear that they're really listening. And if you're watching or listening, like you have so many more opportunities. So I'll make sure to put her information down in the episode description below. Speaking of SEO, do you want to tell them about this gift that you have? If they want to actually look at their website and think, am I doing the best practices with SEO right now?
Yes, so I have a free SEO content audit checklist that we'll put the link to in the description or whatever you want to call it below. But essentially, it is a 12-page workbook that takes you through your website with a critical eye and free tools, or Key Search is the only tool in there that's paid. And I think it's about like $12 a month if you just buy it for 1 month with a discount codes all over. I'm sure Brittany has one. But with that, you're able to go through your whole site and make sure that it is optimized for Google. That way, the hard work that you've done is paying off for you, because you don't want thousands of posts that you've written and they're so helpful, but no one's reading them. So we really want to make sure we get eyes on your content immediately. And part of it, I do talk about that kind of funnel strategy and how you're going to internal link content to make sure that it's all connected. I would also just like add a little teaser that e-commerce sites have been like the one thing that have been almost totally safe from the updates recently. So you guys are in like such a great position right now to really start from a place of safety, where I know a lot of other like just niche site owners who are afraid of products are kind of scared to start because they only want to have ads or something. You guys are very, very safe, and that's really cool. So it means that you kind of have a leg up to get started. And yeah, I would 10 out of 10 recommend going through the workbook. It'll probably take you a month. Like plan to like spend some time. I don't want you doing it all in a day because I don't believe in that. And like I said, I believe in batching. So it's essentially meant to take you like a day each week for a month, but it works you through like every step of it with little tutorials.
Your stuff is just so good. I hope everybody goes and follows you. And this is going up on YouTube as well. So I'll be sure to tag your YouTube channel, Nina, so you'll see that. And definitely go and watch her videos there. She just goes so in depth with the experiments she does. She tests all these things. So if it's piqued your interest in running ads to your site, affiliate marketing, honestly, she does it all. That's why I think it's just such a cool thing to follow, a cool person to follow, because you're not an influencer in the traditional sense, but I actually do consider you a person of influence and impact, because you are doing these things all the time. You're sharing what you know and what you learn in real time, which is so cool. And I think that more of us should be building in public and thinking of creative ways to show what's going on behind the scenes, because what better way to do community and have people cheer you on when they see you doing something, right? So thank you so much, Nina. I appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me, Brittany.